name is Ana Teresa Dengo. I'm the Costa Rican ambassador to Austria, to 6 neighboring countries, and the permanent representative to the UN organizations here and the CTBTO. And my background is a combined background of over 30 years of working in the private sector and the public sector as an international staff, and also as a diplomat. So it's a good balanced sort of work experience that I have. Well, it was too close for comfort, actually, because I was already in probably 3rd grade when the Cuban Missile Crisis came. And obviously we were all, our eyes were focused there, and the whole world, I know, but also particularly for North America, because we were very close to the whole crisis. My father was in government, so I was probably one of the most informed children in that time, more than the regular child could be. So yes, I mean, we saw the threat and sort of felt it at that time. So. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. I probably would say that I was born into disarmament, coming from a country that abolished its army and dedicated its resources to education and to social areas. Costa Rica also took a very strong stand. It's actually one of the pillars of its foreign policy, our disarmament issues. So that, I would say, it affected all of us at different degrees, but I felt particularly compelled to do something, not just listen and say, but I was always sort of, okay, how does this affect me, and how does it define what I want to do in life? I think it's like I said, it's part of the Costa Rican way of life, and looking at our responsibilities within the international community. Well, like I said before, I mean, when we decided to abolish the army, we dedicated those resources to education, to the social sector. And in many ways, the Costa Rican democratic situation has been supported by that decision. And in many ways, interestingly enough, when I said before that I cover 6 neighboring countries in addition to Austria, many times I have had to come to the neighboring countries, particularly to the Balkans, to speak about the Costa Rican experience and how it has worked for us as a nation that has probably one of the largest GDPs in the region. So I think it has impacted, in addition to giving us a responsibility, because we have not just saying, okay, this is how it affected us. We have sort of taken the flag beyond our borders, and keep giving the message and bringing the message to the international community in general. It's interesting because it's a very small country, but it has a very strong voice, and I think it is heard. And particularly working in diplomacy, you realize how strong it is, because many times they call you with the big players in order to come and support their initiatives in disarmament, and so yeah, peace and security. Obviously, President Arias and now President Chinchilla have taken it beyond the normal sort of approach, but yes, it has impacted all the different parties, I would say. Well, it's important. I mean, bringing just the experience of Latin America. Obviously, that each region has its own pace, each region has its own political innuendos. But I think it does. I mean, it set reference for other nuclear weapon-free zones worldwide. And it continues to. I mean, in all the discussions, for example, now they're discussing the nuclear weapon-free zone in the Middle East, the reference of Latin America is very present. So yes, I think it's a good example that can be followed and at least analyzed and adapted to the conditions of each region. In fact, the General Secretary of OPANAL, who's a Costa Rican national, is continuously looking for other areas in which OPANAL, within its mandate, could expand. For example, dealing with issues of nuclear security, for example. So I think it's very important to have an established secretariat, even though it's a small one, but it's a recognized one, and with the presence of all the member states, taking decisions of what should we go and how to strengthen what the Secretariat is doing. Well, let's go back to the nuclear security summit that we had this year, and the implementation of the action plan. It was interesting that when the action plan was defined or adopted, it was considered that only the nuclear states would have to have responsibilities under it. But every member state, including mine, which does not have any plans to have any nuclear capabilities, will have to undertake. So that's one of the things. I think that the understanding, and again I'm talking about the particularly Latin American region, of the responsibilities of even those non-nuclear states has to widen, it has to expand. In fact, I was supposed to be in Argentina today on an OPANAL meeting, speaking about nuclear security issues, but other things kept me here in Vienna. But it's an issue that will be discussed by OPANAL member states, and they have accepted to put it in the agenda and to look at the implementation, particularly the action plan in the region. I came to CTBTO actually when I was 1 year old, so in a way I feel like a maternal responsibility. It was the PTS, like I said, was starting. It was an interesting time to work with it. I was chairperson of the PERCOM, and I was also the first co-chair together with Austria of the Article 14 conference. So I have been very involved and followed very closely what's going on. I think the major challenge is obviously is the entry into force. And I think for the entry into force, we have reached a stage where we have to go beyond just the individual states. We have to probably look at groupings or clusters of states that we have to contact within their, for example, the Middle East, the Southeast Asia, the P5s. There's one that's usually sort of orphan in that group, and that's probably the BRK. But I think the most important thing is to work towards entry into force, but looking for creative ways of doing this. Obviously, we know that it's always the responsibility and the sovereign decision of the states to ratify, but well, to sign or ratify in this case. But it's important that the marches and the approaches that are made in order to entice them to sign or ratify have a different approach from the traditional one that we have been sort of undertaking. But the political message given by the ratification and given by the entry into force to have a full-fledged organization, it's a critical one. Otherwise, we run the risk of losing the interest of many member states. Because I think we cannot be dismayed or discouraged. We have to work every single day to get it moving, to get it ahead, to look for opportunities, which I think you have done very in an excellent way, to make sure that the CTBTO is present, that it's relevant. Well, obviously it's very important, but like I said, one of the days that we had a meeting, it is not the only one. I think, to be honest, and maybe a little bit not too diplomatic, some other member states are hiding behind the United States. So I think obviously it's important, and we would all love to hear that the US is ratifying, but I wonder what would happen with other member states if they do ratify, because then they would, have to have a different position. Obviously, with the financial situation, that puts a strain on what member states are contributing. So obviously, there will be decisions, there will be priorities. So we need to see. I mean, there's maybe because I think as an engineer, my first background is in engineering, and then I went on to get my master's in public policy. But it's not only the build-up, but it's the maintenance. And we have invested so much in the verification system that we need to make sure that we keep the stations up and running in the best way possible. But there's a big discussion among member states of what to put the resources. So that's another challenge. I mean, to make a balance or a balanced decision of where the funding should go, without sacrificing one or the other. I think the civil uses have been more and more understood by the member states, and I think that has had a strong impact, particularly on the universality, because some small states have signed and have ratified because they understood they could actually benefit from the uses of the verification technologies. And I think that the more the build-up of the system is achieved, the more benefits we will see from member states. I think the scientific forums that have been organized and have brought new light into what the verification technologies can bring to state signatories. The importance of supporting early warning systems, for example. The issues of climate change, the issues of like I said, early warning, tsunami warnings. Those, I think, particularly because we are living in a very shaky ground, but not diplomatically, but physically. No, but particularly, for example, for the small islands, it's very, very important that they can actually understand how they can tap into what the verification technologies can bring them for their early warning systems. I think this is important. Women bring a different perspective into things, and I think it's important to. I'm not talking about the gender balance. I'm talking about the involvement of women. I mean, now we're privileged to have Mrs. Angela Kane in New York, but that's one of the few exceptions. Well, you're one of the cases also. Women look at things from a different perspective sometimes, because you relate more directly to the issues. I mean, basically, I'm not going to say that every woman is a mother, but you see it with a sort of a more close to everyday life. So how is disarmament going to affect me, my family, and obviously the larger community, more directly than men who usually look at the larger picture and have problems sort of putting them together. So I think it's important to bring the message. They might be also more interested in disseminating the messages to children, which is also very important, because I think we need to create awareness in the future generations of what we're talking about. If we want to really consolidate and achieve nuclear disarmament in general, we need to involve the future generations, or the younger generations. And I think there, women have a very strong possibility of having an important role. What I'm saying is that if you look at the large scientific community, you see a lot of females. But it's then the specific disarmament areas. And I think, because in a way there has been a myth that this is a field that, you know, let's leave that to the men. So the way to get them involved is to actually lobby, to go, like I said, to the universities, to go to the schools even, to go to other organizations and try to attract them. Because when I was talking about involvement, yes, I mean it's important to have women in administration, but it's more important to actually have in the forefront the disarmament efforts. I am, to be honest. One of the things that, again, going back to Costa Rica, is that we are trying to bring back the discussions on the Nuclear Weapons Convention, or let's just go beyond the convention, on a legally binding instrument to promote nuclear disarmament. And from the response that I've seen in different meetings that I go, I think there is this commitment, there's interest. I would say probably, hopefully, within the next 30, 40 years, we should really see a big change in that regard, because there's more and more voices that are joining everywhere. I mean, we see a very strong non-governmental community, we see the academic community, we see, like I said, the younger people, we see different actors coming in. So I am optimistic. I think we should achieve it. And then again, going to the entry into force, that would be a major milestone to go to achieve nuclear disarmament.